Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Convos Create Change. This is Control the Culture. We partner with Adjust My Crown. We want to have a very, very important conversation tonight about mental health. So the name of tonight's show is Mental Health is Wealth. And we want to talk about the lack of mental health in the Black community and the stigma that arises through that. So I'm your host for the evening. I go by the name of Scotty Smart. If you don't know, my Instagram is Change Creator Smart. This is my brother who will introduce himself.
What's going on, beautiful people? I'm Easy. They call me Easy 100. I am a club host all around the city, all around the world. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. This is going to be a great conversation about mental health. Please feel free to any dialogue of anyone that you know, anyone that you've come encounter with. Please talk about it. Let's put it all on the platform. Combos create change.
So the first thing I want to get started with, it's usually a current event. And it just so happened that we was already planning to do this about a month ago, but I'm pretty sure that everyone get to see the Oprah Winfrey interview that she did with the Royals the other day. And the big takeaway I had from that was that I think it's Meghan Markle. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name correctly, but she expressed that she was feeling mentally ill and not in her right state of mind, and she asked for help. And there was no one that would allow her to get help or there for her to receive help. And so I want to start the conversation there because a lot of times people are going through things and we're not realizing the signs, the trauma that they're experiencing because trauma is so normal in our community. So feel free, there is a seat there for anyone that would like to converse with us. But I want to talk about the signs of mental health to begin with tonight. A lot of times when we talk about trauma, we overlook a lot of things. And so a lot of things are like come into play now with social media and wanting to be liked and wanting to be in a position of being loved by people who you don't know and just being satisfied. But a lot of times when we go through that, we have to understand some of those are signs of depression as well. So if anyone ever experienced depression here tonight, you have experience, would you mind sharing with us any personal situation? Not forced.
I don't care.
There's a seat right there, and then there's a mic right there that's sitting in the chair. You just flip that on for us, and we'll have a conversation about it. But some of the signs of mental health would be changed behavior, attention-seeking behavior, drug use. A lot of us mask our pain in drugs. A lot of us smoke a lot of weed to run from our problems. A lot of us drink a lot to run from our problems because we don't have outlets to vent and to have these conversations. So I want to make sure we open up a platform so we can have this conversation. Please state your name, and the floor is yours. You have 2-3 minutes.
All right. My name is Leslie. I'm in college. I'm 46. When I was 19, I just was in not a good place. I wasn't in a good place at all. So it was my mom that put me on to therapy. So when I first started therapy, I didn't know what to do with it. Okay. I didn't know that I was getting tools to create a toolbox to choose from. One thing I did for myself, I just recognized what my triggers are. So,
what type of triggers did you have?
Well, one which set it off when I got upset again is I have to be happy. That's it. I have to.
That's the underlying thing there. A lot of times it's really just finding what makes you really happy.
Right. So I have my dream job. I teach culinary arts.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Or when I found cooking, I gained so much weight. I was just cooking for everybody in the neighborhood because that's what made me feel good. So I do those things now. I teach and I cook. Okay. So, but I still go to therapy. I still get my head checked. I'm not.
So question, when you started going to therapy, how was that received to the people around you? Because a lot of times people are uncomfortable going to therapy because it's looked at as it's a stigma about going to see a therapist.
I didn't care. But like when, I didn't. Well, see, I didn't know what to do with it. And I didn't. Okay. One, I wanted to reach out to my cousin. So I knew it was an issue in my family because they were like, nah. My mom was like, nah, because I didn't wanted to know, like, what did you do to get back right? And my mom shut it down. And then when I went back into therapy at age 19, I knew I wasn't ready to be accountable for my actions. So I was like, nah, I'm good. Nothing. Smoke this dirty ass.
So did you find someone to help you to be accountable for your actions? Because I think we all have to be.
My mom did. Oh, my mom held up a mirror.
But you said she didn't. She wasn't as open to the therapist, correct?
No, she sent me to therapy. As far as one of the questions you asked was the stigmatism in the Black community. I was not able to reach out to my cousin who was having a similar experience and say, can we talk about it? Because it was hush hush in my family.
Right.
So, but my mom made it all right for me. You know, I didn't like it the first couple of times because it did things that made me feel away. And then I knew I was in spaces where I just had to go again. And so, you know, I keep me a therapist in my pocket. And I always find I've never had to pay for therapy.
Okay.
So I'm always wanting to find resources. So in college, you don't have to pay for therapy. Families First here is sliding scale. I use Open Path now. So.
I think that's the hint on the next thing I want to talk about really is that a lot of times you don't have a place to talk about your deepest and darkest, scariest thoughts and a place just to have an outlet. And a lot of times you can't even have those conversations because you're not sure who's ready to have those conversations with you. And so I think that's key to having those conversations. Like I was talking to somebody about on social media. He was like, man, I just smoke a blunt and take that shit on the chin.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
You fucked up.
I saw that.
You need to see a therapist today.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's not the way it works. And I think a lot of times, especially as men, we're taught to not show emotion.
True.
But I think you got to be able to to express yourself and control your emotion, but understand your emotion that you're feeling. And that's the biggest thing in mental therapy is to be able to understand what you're feeling and be able to engage that feeling and have a control over it. Because if you don't understand it and know what it is, then you can't heal it.
Right. Once you put some words on it and language around it, then it makes everything more better.
Definitely.
And actually, on another note too, I was watching a podcast that we watch other podcasts, and I was watching the Drink Champions podcast, and they were talking about Kanye. They was actually talking to Pusha T, and he was like, "Man, I really didn't understand how important mental health really is, because he felt like someone that has it all can't be mentally off. They can't. That isn't a real thing." He said until he really experienced it, because most people that come from neighborhoods where you see people on the corners, on the streets doing drugs, you think they have mental issues, or they're talking to themselves, swinging at the air, you thinking that's mental issues. And it's really deeper than that. It's really a lot deeper than that for a lot of people. And if we have anyone else that would like to come up and speak with us, please step up.
She's already. Make sure that mic's on. I'm not sure if it's on.
Cut the mic on.
Push it up.
I'm not sure if it's on.
Up.
There you go.
There you go. And
State your name. And
then the silver mic is recording you as well.
Hi, I'm Candace Godfrey. How are you guys?
How you doing,
Hello,
Candace?
I came here tonight because I wanted to just talk about what I've been going through these past couple of days. Been suffering for an abortion that I just recently had, and it's been hard for me to kind of like move on. I haven't been able to really eat like that, sleep like that.
Cut your mic on.
It's been hurting me. What I try to do is be around family and friends who care about me.
And if you don't mind me asking, what stage were you in when you had your abortion? Like what stage? Were you in the early stages? Were you midway?
Yeah, it was 5 weeks.
5 weeks?
It was really early.
Is there? Check.
Is there any other women that experience abortion as well? Because for me, I can't relate about that pain and that experience. So I want you to have someone that can talk to you, that you feel like can understand what you've gone through, and be able to partner with you, to walk with you through that situation. Because that's the thing that it is. It's like you have to be able to have people that experience something sometimes to lean on. That's my biggest thing, is like trying to find mentors or other people that have experienced the same thing. So if there's any women that have experienced abortion, I mean, I've experienced it on the male perspective, but it's not.
I have as well.
I was talking to you about, losing a child at an early stage of pregnancy when you were talking. It doesn't have to be around a lot of people. That is a session.
Definitely, and I'm happy that you even have an opportunity to share this with us.
Absolutely.
But you can continue.
Yeah, so, what I do for work right now, I'm a lash tech, and I work for a foster care agency right now. And I've also been a teacher for these past 6 years before I resigned for COVID. Like I said, just dealing with this abortion has been very hard for me, and not really kind of having the support that I had, just person just dipping out on me and not trying to be there for me.
Right.
And,
So did that cause you to have the abortion, knowing that the person wasn't going to be there with you throughout the entire process?
It did. It really
Did you think that person would be there at the beginning when you initially got pregnant? Was that a thing that you thought would possibly happen?
Honestly, I can't really say. It's just really hard to kind of understand a little bit. It's like 1 minute you can be in there, you can have a connection with somebody, and then they'll change, you know. So, and then after when you have the abortion, their whole mindset is different,
Right.
and you know they're inviting you back over to their house after you had the abortion. So it's just.
Does he have kids already?
No, he doesn't have any.
Doesn't have any.
I don't have any kids.
So I was with somebody for a year before I experienced my first pregnancy. At that time, I didn't want kids, so I had an abortion. But it was kind of weird for me initially because I had the abortion in my mind thinking like I don't want kids. But it really bothered me after that. Like I remember breaking down in the shower, like crying about it. And it's like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, I killed my baby. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I'm helping you raise these kids, your kids, and I just killed my own. I've never been pregnant before when that child was meant to be here. I don't know if I'll ever be pregnant again because I wasn't doing anything in particular to like prevent me from getting pregnant previous to that.
Yeah.
So I would say that like you do need to find somebody who comforts you on a day-to-day basis because me and that person lived together at the time, and just the simple fact that he was willing to like help me through my emotions helps me get better. So I don't care who it is, whether it's a cousin, a best friend, whoever. Just find somebody who will do nothing with you if that's what it is.
Right.
Because sometimes being with somebody at your lowest point, just the presence of them being there will help you get better. So I don't care who it is, find somebody to spend your downtime.
If I could add something to that, there are support groups.
And if you all want to say anything, because we're trying to get it on the feed on the actual show, so we're gonna give this mic to the crowd so you guys can talk, so we can hear you. Hold on one second.
So I have no experience with having an abortion, but I do have experience with death. And I do know with abortions, there are support groups out there because I have a few friends that have had an abortion and that have had miscarriages. And there's support groups available that you can go and talk to people. That you can go and talk to people about that. And I would say if you feel some kind of connection still with that child, or if you do feel some type of connection with that child or with that, child's spirit. I know when it comes to death, to me, anyone that's related to you that has passed on is your direct line of an ancestor now. And so that child, even though it did not fully bloom and was not, into this life, you can always still do something for that child. And I know for me, like my mom passed away 7 years ago tomorrow. And so with anyone that's close to you that has passed away, you can create a spiritual altar for them, or you can, there's so many different little tools that you can do to help you kind of let go and work through those emotions versus bottling them in and just picking yourself up to still go to work and still do what you need to do.
True.
And so I would advise you to do those different little healing tools, whether it be writing, whether it's talking to someone at a support group, or, talking to someone who has had experience before, or doing something personal within yourself to help you deal through, work through that.
And that actually just shows how special of a woman that you actually are, because I know some women in my life, they wouldn't have nudged, budged, cried a tear of anything of having an abortion because they feel so numb to it and to the situation of the man that they've dealt with, or to the situation that they're actually in. And some of these women already have kids, and they're in a state where it's like, oh, I've been through an abortion before. This ain't nothing to me. Like, I'm gonna just go ahead and do it. And on the opposite end, for certain men, I know me in a certain situation, I had a woman that I actually wanted to have a kid with, but she didn't want to have it. So I felt that other side was like, damn, I really, this kind of affects me in a different way. So it can be on either end, and that
creates a lot of emotional trauma that needs to be worked through versus putting it aside and just going about your day.
Right.
That's something you really need to take time to heal with and be proactive about working through it.
I think the biggest thing is to understand where your safe spaces are. Like, how do you disconnect sometimes? Where do you find a comfort in just being? Sometimes it's, for me, I'm an introvert, so it's for me being alone. Some people aren't introverts. It's them being around others that have to comfort them. Excuse me, that's the wrong word to use. Comfort them in a way that they understand them. And they're just there for them. Sometimes, like she said, sometimes you need somebody to just do nothing with and to clear your mind because there's so many rapid thoughts going. But the last thing I want you to do is beat yourself up about it.
Right.
And you have to be able to understand that the mistakes, God doesn't make any mistakes. So therefore, it just might not have been the time, or might have not been the right person, because you never know what can happen in the future.
True.
So therefore, you have to keep pushing forward.
I always say you are exactly where you need to be, and your life is always unfolding in divine timing and in divine order. So no matter what happens, it's what it needs to be. And there's something that you're learning from this as well. And if you are interested in any safe spaces, I actually do women empowerment workshops and goddess circles and sisterhood gatherings, and I'm having one on the 21st. You're more than welcome. And anyone else here is also welcome. And in those workshops, we'll do a lot of different using healing tools like meditation, writing, and just really being there for each other and supporting each other as women. So you're not alone.
Good job.
I just wanted to add to it that
Step up.
You gotta get as close to the silver mic as well.
Hey everybody, my name is Kay.
One question before you get started. If you talk loud enough, you may not need to talk into that mic, but I need y'all to talk more into the silver mic because that's the one that's picking up the audio for the podcast. So if everyone in here can hear you, then we won't have to use the show mics, the stage mics, but the silver mics are picking up the audio. So if you feel comfortable and you feel like you can talk now loud enough to project, then go ahead.
Okay. First off, I wanted to say to you, Candace, it takes a lot of courage to come here and say that, because it definitely it's not something I have personally tossed with the idea of, considering abortion. So I can only imagine what you're going through. But the key to this is just knowing that, like he said, you have to have a support system. People around you that can help you get through, because it took me a lot of prayer. I damn near killed myself trying to think about if I should let go of the baby. You know what I mean? So, and granted, my son is here and he's a blessing. However, there's a time and there's a place for everything. And there's a right time and a right place. So don't beat yourself up about it. Like Scotty said, because it takes a lot of strength to be able to overcome what you overcame already. That's just the first step, just continue to be in prayer. Because of course, people don't even realize how much this weighs on women, mentally, emotionally. It takes a toll on you, period. And we're seen as, strong women. So they don't know what goes on behind closed doors, or, when you have to take the chance to just be like, okay, I'm gonna let this life go just so I can get through this. It's a lot. So I just wanted to come and just tell you, you're courageous for that. You know what I'm saying? To get here and talk in front of all these people that you don't know.
Definitely.
And let them know that you had to toil with that.
Every day I try to live my life and
not think about it as much.
And I have really bad anxiety from it.
Definitely.
I take medication for this anxiety because I really honestly don't really have an appetite like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my doctor said I was losing weight and just trying to tell him I'm having some hard time sleeping because I'm not the person who I thought I was before I got pregnant. So it's just kind of.
But see, every challenge you go through, you grow through. So as you take on this journey, I always tell people that go through stuff that God doesn't give you nothing you can't handle. So this is a big hurdle for you. But on the other side of this hurdle is your greatness, right? Your strength. And as you move forward, you'll understand you have the ability to handle anything. Yeah. After you went through this, everything else to seem minimal.
Yeah,
because now you're like, this is because like I was telling somebody yesterday, like I think of things in life or death situations. If it's not life or death, it's not going to bother me personally. I've been through too many funerals in the last 5 years. If it's not a life or death situation for me personally, I can figure it out if I can continue to breathe. Yeah. And so this is a hurdle for you,
right?
But it's something that you can overcome, that you will overcome. And as you do overcome it, it's the strength that you have to address it. See, a lot of people run from it. A lot of people hide from their pain. So you having the strength to even acknowledge it is the first step. You have to acknowledge it and express it, and don't dismiss those feelings.
Right.
You might can't share it with everybody.
Right.
But once you understand your audience, this audience here is to talk about mental health, right? So therefore, we're here to have this conversation so that you understand, that we all understand what type of things, what type of trauma we're going through, because there's a stigma of mental health in the Black community. Yes. And that's why I was wishing my dad could have been here tonight. He's a therapist himself, but he's created what's called a safe space. And it's a safe space for Black people to come and just vent,
right?
Just to have their voices heard, because a lot of times you don't feel comfortable having that conversation with people who are around you. And a lot of times they might not be mentally ready to handle that conversation either. And so, like I said, we're going to exchange contact information, anyone in here, and we're going to keep on helping each other.
Right. And you'll be surprised the blessings that are ahead for you. You know, that the child that you are going to have, and I can see one in your future, truly I can, is going to be the happiest moment of your life with someone that is going to be there for you in the way that you want.
And cut that nigga off.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, nah, dead ass. Like, sometimes you got to cut a motherfucker off. Like,
you do.
I'm like the brutally honest friend. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that nigga ain't got, like, if you're not building towards your forever, go ahead.
No,
what bothers me is the fact that, I don't know, like, I can't speak for nobody else, but I'll speak for myself.
Always.
Me personally, I'm like, having some feelings like, okay, like, well, dang, like, that was kind of like my baby daddy. So it's like, I'm so stupid enough to like still go back in the bed with him after that.
Why?
You said was. So therefore, we're gonna let that go.
You can back that thing up somewhere else.
Today we will use the word "let go." Today we let go. Okay. And Scotty, could you provide us with your father's information?
Definitely.
You know, go ahead and let the people know there's a safe place. You know, for real. So a safe space, so that you can do that. Because of course, you don't want to sit there and be bogged up with anything. Like,
and I would say the reason why we're saying cut that off, because if you're looking for forever, and those are forever decisions that you're making, and that person isn't on that same path with you,
right,
then it's going to hinder where you're trying to go.
Right.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of men can be manipulative. We can see your weakness and know that you need our support.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to be like, nah, and sometimes we become dependent on other people, but that aren't the right people to be dependent upon.
Closed doors.
So after today, we're not talking about this nigga. All right. We're done talking about him.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I want to jump back in. First off, I want to thank everybody that contributed to that conversation. You know what I'm saying? That was a starting point. I didn't know we were going there, but hey, let's go there this evening, because that's what mental health is about. It's about hitting those deep, rough conversations and having them and being comfortable with them to share with other people. Like I said, so that was interesting. And you spoke on something that a lot of women never heard, and I heard their reaction to it that changed a lot of faces. So I want you to harp on that. You said something about the man's perspective of the abortions.
Yes. For a lot of women in this room, I know y'all don't get a chance to really see the man's perspective on that. Is very deep. It's very deep, because we will never go through what a woman goes through, and all of us in this world came from a woman. And I think as men get older and mature in life, they understand a woman a lot better. Things that she goes through, the way that her body works, the way that her mind works. And that's why mental health is so important, because just what this young lady came up here and talked about with abortion was a different perspective for me. Like I said, I've had women in my life that could care less about it. I've had women that cared a lot about it and ready to be like, I'm Wonder Woman, I could take care of everything by myself. And for me and for different men, like, I would have loved to step into that role. And like I told a woman this before, I've never cut an umbilical cord or been in the hospital rooms or
went to pregnancy classes or done all the things that women really do.
I didn't know those things happen.
Process, you know what I'm saying? And I have a son. My son is 11 years old, and I was never there for that. But I told I would love to be in a relationship with a woman and go through those phases. You know, that's something that a lot of men don't get a chance to really talk about or express to a woman. I would love to do that. But for men, our journey to a child is different because we understand the decision that is made when we all lay down and have sex and do it in the way that we choose to do it. It comes with responsibilities. And I think a lot of times we don't stand on it. So, I mean, from my perspective, like I said, I've seen all sides. I've been emotional in a setting where I wanted the child and I wanted to experience that with this young lady. And I wasn't able to do so because she made the decision for her body and what she wanted to really do in life because she was the woman carrying the child. And that was a different perspective for me because I couldn't really make a decision. Like I could not tell her to go have the abortion or stop the doctors or anything of that nature. So I applaud you women for being who you are, but at the same time, your powers will come with more growth, with more experience and more things that you see in life.
One thing,
I don't think most women understand how strong y'all are.
Yeah.
Like a lot of shit that y'all go through, most men can't handle.
Would have been tapped out.
Like a lot of men are emotionally unstable as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think having these discussions and being open and honest about it opens the doors for a lot of other conversations. It makes it a little bit more routine, or it's really good to see so many people talking about mental health right now because it's allowing so many people to get a little bit comfortable with it. Because one of my questions was that do we belittle mental health as a culture?
Definitely.
As a culture to where it makes you not want to see a therapist. You know what I mean? I think
what the young lady said about going to therapy at 19 is a huge thing. Like
I was never
that. Like most people would never think to go into those doors. And I talked to a woman the other day. I said therapy is actually the greatest thing. I went. That's what's crazy about this, Scotty. I went, but I had to get into my 30s to even think about that because I wanted to be in a great mental space and understand myself a lot better than maybe I think I do. Because there's a lot of things that I don't react emotionally to. It's some things that I'm very tuned out on. I could care less about that a lot of people care a lot about. So it's like now is something wrong with me and the mechanisms in my brain? Because like they said, there are chemicals in our brain that we do not even know that control things that we cannot even understand yet. So we have to understand from another point of view that this is what's going on inside your brain.
That's deep, and I think that's where we begin. So, you had something you said a little bit about grief. And I think one thing we don't talk about enough is how we deal with death, because at this point, I'm literally traumatized by my timeline. Because if I see somebody on my timeline I don't know and it's like a sketchy picture, I'm like, I don't even want to keep scrolling because it might be a rest in peace. I'm like, damn,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like. You see death so much, it's trauma so much that we don't.
You almost become numb to it.
I am numb to it. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're desensitized to everything. It's like I'm in this group chat with a bunch of young niggas, right? And they might send some shit in the group chat like somebody getting their head blown off in real life. And it's like, you just sit there like that's normal. That's not normal. But we're desensitized through the video games, through the YouTube, through social media, because we see it all the time. And so I think we have to talk about how we grieve, and again, it depends. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone needs a different space to grieve. But I think we always have to have an open conversation about that. So if you would like to, if you project enough, you may not need the mic.
You need the mic?
But I need that one.
I think it also has to do a lot with your spiritual foundation, and your faith and all that stuff, because, somebody will pass that's close to you, but you don't, it's like you process the emotions, but you're not really processing the whole situation.
And the power of them not being here anymore, and then the attachment that we have
with that person that has passed, forward. And so we have to understand as humans, we do become super attached to other individuals, and we become codependent, and that's how we grow up. We're codependent to our parents and stuff like that. And so when we lose someone, it really does fall onto your spiritual foundation,
right?
And how you're going to work through that, or what your perspective is on that passing.
And we talked about a little bit about the spiritual side, because everyone has a belief system, and most people believe in what their parents believe in. Some people, when they get older, they start to take journeys into the world and learn other things about life and other things about other religions,
right.
And they have different perspectives. Because I had a friend that died, that got killed. He was an artist, a rapper, Mozzie, and I went to his wake, where his family are Muslims, and I've never been in a temple and experienced it how they shown it. Like, we all had to put our hands in the dirt and bury him individually. It was more of a true journey for me, because I come from a Christian back home, like Baptist and anything else. So I didn't understand the way of how they took it. It was more endearing, you know what I'm saying? And with religion does come a different tap into your emotions.
And I can only speak from experience. Like I said, I mentioned before, my mom passed away 7 years tomorrow, actually. And so I grew up in a Catholic, house faith-based. And as I got older, I stepped out of that because I realized it wasn't for me.
Right.
And I started to really think about my spiritual foundation and how I want to cultivate that. And so I did what works for me. And so now I don't follow any religion, and I meditate, and I practice different healing tools, such as writing, and I still do pray. I'll sit out in nature. I'll do what I need to do to make sure I'm centered and to make sure I'm whole. And so when my mom passed away, I was already on my spiritual journey. And so I looked at it very different than most of my family would. I'm Dominican, and so Dominicans, when someone passed away, they have like certain set of prayers that they do for 9 days straight. And they'll have a viewing, and they'll still do these prayers. And it's like you go through the whole rosary. Almost like, I don't know if you guys know what mala beads are. They're like praying beads for Buddhism.
School us, please, educate us.
So malas are praying beads that Buddhists.
I've seen them tied in between. Yeah, they tied them between the hands of prayer.
And so with each bead, they'll say an affirmation or a prayer or a mantra or something, and they'll go through the entire necklace. And so in Catholicism, we have the rosary, right? And so they have the beads. There's a specific amount of numbers on the rosary. And so they pray on each one. And there's like a prayer that you go through, like a cycle of the prayers.
Never knew that.
And so that's what my family does when someone passed away, right? Because that's what they've always done. But me, on the other hand, I took it very different, and I went about it a different way. And I grieved through my mom's passing totally different. I embraced it. And even though it was difficult to accept, because that's my mom. I mean, I'm a mama's girl. I grew up with my mom. She raised me. Like, I am who I am because of her.
That's deep.
And so I embraced that because I also have an understanding of my ancestors, and my spirit guides that work with me. And so I look at that as now I have a direct link to my ancestors that I can work with and that are constantly protecting me, loving me, and guiding me along my journey. And so what helped me grieve was, of course, I cried, so much, and I released a lot, and I needed to, because she's no longer in the physical. But I started to see that the things that bring us peace in life, like the sunrise or sitting out in the ocean, or, something that really gives you that peace of mind, I feel like our ancestors live within those moments.
True.
And that's why we feel that comfort. And that's why we feel that sense of release and that sense of, calmness. And so I took myself to those places all the time. whenever I would feel like I'm missing her too much. And it really all just comes back to your faith, and your spiritual foundation.
I don't think there's ever a missing her too much though, because I know I'm really close with my mom, and I don't know, I'm not ready to even have that experience. Like, I couldn't think of that just yet. So
Me either.
There's never a missing your mom too much. Like, I don't want you to even try to accept that. Like, you can miss her as much as you fucking want to.
Oh, I miss her all the time.
Right.
But
Never
there's
too
ways to celebrate that
That's
or
true.
to embrace that.
Okay,
and
that's
so,
true.
I know my mom used to love traveling. And so every year for her death anniversary,
You go
I make sure I travel.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. Yeah,
I can't travel this weekend because I just started a new job. But
Well, congratulations. Right.
Thanks. I'm a preschool teacher, so now I'm in another.
Okay. Well, I got a nice teacher community that you should really link up with. That's actually
Okay.
one about to transition out of teaching
By
to
the
be a
way,
counseling.
my name is Giselle.
Giselle,
And
yeah,
you guys can find me on Instagram at Giselle's Harmony. But there's other ways that you can cope with it and grieve.
Right.
And it's not just crying and bottling up those emotions and pulling yourself away and being like, I'm all right, I still got to go to work, I still got to do this. No, you need to give yourself permission to be. And you need to give yourself permission to feel what you are feeling, because that is the only way you're going to work through it.
Definitely.
If you don't feel what you are feeling and allow yourself to feel, you are putting it aside and it's going to come up.
Yeah, it's going to
That's
bubble
a
up.
big thing I'm glad you said, because a lot of people think that avoiding the problem will make the problem go away.
It doesn't. You cannot hide from what you need to experience.
Right.
And that's why I said earlier, your life is unfolding in divine timing and in divine order. So no matter where you are, what situation, what's coming up, know that it is what it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Even if it looks ugly, because that's going to allow you to step forward into whatever next is coming, whatever's coming up next in your path.
True
exactly.
Indeed.
I'm thank you, because you were very comforting in the first conversation about the abortion as well. And you touched on a lot of topics that we want to move forward and have a conversation with.
Definitely.
So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I did want to say real quick.
Sure. You can say
my sisterhood gathering on the 21st, if you guys are interested, is donation based, and also for men, because mental health is, I feel like for women we have a lot of different little circles, a lot of different little groups and stuff like that. For men, it's not as
open.
Available and open.
I mean,
but it's out there, especially now.
Well, for us, a lot of men aren't allowed to feel.
Yeah.
Or don't know how to feel.
How to feel.
So daddy told you different, child. I can't wait till you say that.
I can't wait to bring you up here,
see, that's the thing, though. That's what I had to realize, the privilege of having that father. I've never been to a therapy session, but my father's a therapist. So I grew up in that mindset. You know what I mean? He didn't get into therapy until about the last 3 or 4 years. He was a teacher for 25 years. So that's why I have a nonprofit organization that does a lot with the teacher community, because I understand, because that's what I saw. I saw the compassion of a teacher. But I had to understand how lucky I was as I grew up to have that father figure. And then a lot of times I wish he was here, because he beats himself up a lot, because he's that tough love father. No nonsense father. I called my stepmom, I still call her Miss Lisa, and I'm 33 years old. I've never called her Lisa. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't play with kids. He told me I wasn't your fucking friend. I don't care to be your friend, but that's actually my best friend. I would call him before, a lot of y'all see the journey I'm on, but he plays devil's advocate for me in a lot of situations to bounce off of ideas. And so we have to have those people who can even pick your brain and you not take it personal. Right. I think the best thing about my father's situation is he challenges me. And everything he challenges me to is who I've become. So it's I may have ideas, say, hey, you should do this, or you used to do this, or what you had going on then. And then he'll be like, well, little nigga, I'm 50-something years old. How about you do some shit? And I'll be like, you know what, motherfucker? And we can sit over and have a drink and smoke a blunt and make that happen. But as a child, he made sure that I didn't have that comfort yet. You see, a lot of times I think within the parenting, you get in a situation where a lot of people want to be the friend early. And you can't be the friend until they're grown, until that respect is established. I don't play with no kids. And but everybody's different in that manner. But I think a lot of the times when we talk about where our culture is, you have a lot of people who aren't raising the next generation. You know what I'm saying? And you're too friendly with them. And instead of being able to check it, then it it's a situation. And so I'm blessed. I think about that all. Like I said, I couldn't have my core is my parents, and I couldn't imagine. So I couldn't even say. But if anyone else has been through that process of, and I think with grief, it depends on how close you are to a certain person, you know, because I don't know. I've been through so many funerals. I'm kind of numb in a sense, unless it's really, really close. Right. And I had a situation last summer where one of my childhood friends got killed. And I mean, we were friends since the 6th grade, and we talked the day before he got killed. Wow. So we was friends for over 20 years. And I'm from the west side. A lot of our friendships are, I guess, not the healthiest, like fuck nigga this, but it's still, you know what I'm saying? Like we jokingly talk, not down, I don't want to say, but that's how we just grew.
That's our vocabulary.
Right. It was just, we talk shit to each other.
Copes differently.
Right.
When it comes to, like you said, depending on that connection to that person.
And it was really a moment for me. And even now it's still hard for me because I didn't realize the magnitude of COVID to then.
Right.
And why I say that is because like I had a big meeting with like the district attorney's office and all this stuff going on the day of his viewing. And I didn't make it thinking I would be able to go to the funeral because I don't like to see dead bodies. Like that 9-day thing, I couldn't. That's a bit much. They
don't have the body for 9 days,
okay,
but there's prayer for 9 days.
But see, I thought, like I said, I'll either do the viewing or the wake or the funeral. I can't do both in that same state. Those are both two highly emotional environments, and I don't even want to go through that.
That's a lot. You have to protect your energy as well.
But but it being COVID, there was only what was it, the live cast, the streaming funerals that we're having. And so that didn't allow me to really grieve. And I really went through a lot this summer, a lot of positivity, but it was about the argument that we had the day before he died, because he was one of the people who was a business owner downtown when all the looting was going on. And as an activist, I kind of got in trouble for CNN Center catching on fire a little bit because I was like cursing and stuff at the rally beforehand. And a lot of my friends know I'm an open door. So if you feel some type of way about what I've done, I really don't care. But we can talk about it. And so we got to that point where we were having that conversation. And in that morning, he was still talking about it, and I didn't respond. And then even to the fact, like, as I was grieving his death, the last day, so I think tomorrow's the last, when everything shut down, he was the last night we went out before COVID happened, I was with him. So that was the last time I kicked it. His birthday was February, we kicked it. And then he ended up dying right after the George Floyd situation where I had a lot of stuff going on. But again, I never really grieved because I had so much stuff going on at the time that I was really just floating through the moments. And so now I still find myself periodically having to go to the gravesite, having to roll up and just really think like, I don't know what the fuck or how the fuck this happened. Like,
I would
not him.
say, I guess it's but I would say within these past 7 years of like grieving my mom, there are certain times or certain years that I'll make myself busier around her death time because I'm avoiding it myself and, avoiding like just thinking about her not being here and all this other stuff. But then there's other times where I allow myself to just release and let that go. And so it kind of changes, it does change how you grieve, someone depending on that connection and also depending on like,
definitely,
how you want to.
Well, again,
thank you so much. That was
some great content.
You can bring it to me. Thank you so much.
For men, since we're talking about mental health, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mental health for men. There are gatherings for men, and there's one called Sacred Sun. Mm-hmm. And it's really about your self-love and you wanting to take that step forward into your healing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. So if you guys are interested.
If you're here, once we get done in about 30 minutes, we'll be able to, I want everybody to exchange information and be able to build together with that.
One of our great friends just walked in, Scotty.
I know.
You still?
Hey, girl.
What's up, G?
Where you want to go next?
Where you want to go? We had a lot of topics too, and a lot of things that we talked about, we have talked about on our other episodes. We kind of dibbled and dabbled a little bit about it. The family issue as far as the 2-parent homes, we talked about that on one of our episodes as well. So make sure you go and check us out on the past Convos Create Change episodes as well.
one of the things I want to talk about when we talk about mental health is self-care and being able to put yourself first and not feel guilty about putting yourself first. Because a lot of times, especially we have a predominantly woman audience tonight, which is my favorite. Hey, girl. But I feel like a lot of times y'all are so nurturing to others that you forget to put yourself first. And I think we have to always address that and speak on self-love. Do any of you have ways that you go through your disconnects for self-love? You got to come up. We got to get the content. I got to get this.
I think I can project.
Okay. I think you can as well.
I'm a pretty loud lady.
Project it.
Yes. So hey everybody, I am Jasmine. So what was the question said again? Because I had another topic, but I'll
what
get
did
on
you
that
want to talk about? Let's see. What was on your mind first?
Well, what I wanted to talk about, knowing when it's your season. I know that myself personally, I've had a lot of traumas that have caused a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of PTSD. You know, certain things bother and trigger me, and I try to stay away from my triggers.
Question: how do you identify your triggers? Because a lot of people are going through stuff and don't know that they're going through something.
You don't identify. Me personally, I didn't identify my triggers until I was triggered. You know, until I got triggered, and I was like, "What the fuck? Oh yeah, I can't do that no more. I don't want to be in that crowd no more. I don't want to go here anymore. I don't want to talk to that old friend anymore because she's still stuck in 2004. I ain't gonna tell my age. She's still 2004 over here. So
you know how old you is.
You for real.
So
Jasmine's our whoop bitch ass friend.
Yes.
Something like that, but not today. This is a whole. I'm coming to y'all with all kind of love. I ain't coming to y'all with no drama, okay? But you know, if y'all want to, we got somebody outside that wants some problems. No, just playing, y'all. But anyways, so I feel like 2021. A lot of us have different career paths that we're chasing. A lot of us have different ventures that we're trying to go after. Music. I ain't gonna call her out, but it's a nice actress up in here somewhere. You know, different people, you know, CEOs of companies. We have different people in here that are trying to chase different stuff. And because of the social media era, we feel like we're behind. We feel like, you know, we're less than. We feel like, you know,
comparison is a motherfucker.
It's the comparison.
It is the comparison.
It's the comparison. And that's something that I feel like we have to stop. And that's self-love. Yes. You got to work on that. You got to know who you are, what you bring to the table, what you gonna bring to the future, what you bring to the world. You know, you can't worry about what Stephanie over here, you know, just because she's got a clothing line and her clothing line is popping, and you may only sell 2 items a month because you haven't really focused on yourself. You watching Stephanie. You're not worried about your marketing. You're not worried about with your clothing, with your quality of your clothing and stuff like that. So I know me personally, I write music when I go through my mental breakdowns. I dance, I sing, I yell, I scream, I cry. I call my mama best friend. You know, she was one of them, I ain't one of your little friends, and now we besties. So girl, whatever. You know, you got to find your outlet. It don't have to be therapy, because the same as, oh girl, I tried therapy at 19 because I had a very traumatic experience. And it was a forced therapy. It wasn't something I chose to do. My mama made me go, and I walked out in the middle of the session. I wasn't prepared or ready to face those demons. I wasn't ready to deal with what I had dealt with. I wasn't ready to admit, like, oh yeah, I really went through that shit. So it's like, when you ready for that, deal with therapy. If you're not ready for therapy, that's fine. Scream, cry, be in the comfort of your home. Go to the park, take walks, take hikes, do some shit that you're not accustomed to doing. Go to the waterfall, get in the water. You know, do some stuff. Get connected with spirit, get connected with the universe. I don't know what anybody's religion is in here, and I don't mean any harm, but I do feel like no religion is the new religion. You do what you do. I know Yeezy said that years ago, but in real life, do what you do. Christianity, Buddhism.
That's very true.
Bad. It ain't Buddhism, but Buddhism.
No, you say it how you need to say it. We understand.
Where you from is Buddhism. In them clubs. Yeah. But yeah, like do what you. Even if you gotta go to the strip club and throw some money and that make you feel good, do what you gotta do to make you feel.
That's a religion to some people.
In real life, you know, we see them niggas every day, and there's something wrong with them at home, and they come there to express themselves. They come there to feel love and get that little conversation with the dancer, and it's like that's how they feel. That's
Cheetah, my
that does
favorite
it for
spot to
them.
go. That's my safe space.
Where
Cheetah.
the Cheetah's is your spot. They got good chicken and potatoes.
And we like what you said about
dancers ain't hitting on
about
them,
the comparison.
On that too.
Yeah, about the comparison. That's a huge thing in this generation of our life right now, especially.
We're competing
With
a lot.
We're competing a
Yes,
lot.
man.
I got people competing with me. I didn't even know it was a competition. Like,
Right, that'd be killing me.
I didn't know I was in. I didn't know I was
whooping
in.
your ass, but I didn't even know. I would
That
whoop your
you-
ass some more if I knew it was a competition.
Or I would
wasn't
help you
even
learn how to
trying
whoop ass.
Right.
If you feeling like you don't know how to get to the point that I'm at, because it was a struggle for me to get to where I'm at. It was a fucking struggle.
It was a hell of a
people
struggle.
they see the end results. They don't see the grind mode. They don't see the tears. They don't see all the time it took for you to get to where you're at.
Yes.
They just see, oh shit, my girl on screen. Oh shit,
Yes.
my boy got a Grammy. Like, you know, I got a famous ass cousin, got Grammys and shit, and he would never in his life help me get nowhere in the music industry. But I cannot fault him for that, because guess what? God ain't had that plan for me to go there that easily. Like he wanted me to come through the jungle, find my way, get a struggle, because sometimes the beauty is in the struggle. It's not in the end
Always.
result.
I think we need to
Actually,
figure
yeah.
out a way to take competition out of our lives. And honestly, it's more prevalent, I feel, to the culture of Black people. I feel like we're in a competition with each other
That's
more
because
than
we
any
was
race
put in that from the gate.
from the beginning.
You know what I mean? We was put in certain positions, and I do feel like, you know, the slavery times, segregation times, they do still weigh on us heavy, regardless of whether we were old enough to experience it or not. Our parents put that shit down on us, because I know me personally, my mom used to always compare me to my smarter cousin or my more athletic sister. You know, she played basketball, I run it. Why you can't do this? They're not even doing that out of spite. They doing that because that's what's passed down to them.
Right.
They went through the same shit with their sisters and brothers and cousins and shit. It's like a passed down shit that ultimately we got from the slave masters, and that's what fucking sucks. But that's the facts.
You are 100%. I think what we have to realize is that two people can coexist in the same space and both be great at the same thing. Like I see all the time is somebody's doing this good and somebody's doing this good, but who's doing it better?
Right.
It doesn't have to be a better. You can both acknowledge that we're both great.
Yeah.
I don't have to compete with you in my greatness because I'm in my own space, you're in your own space. I think a lot of times we get into these spaces of competing where we're not necessarily running the same races.
True.
Like what my outcome is going to be and what my space isn't the same as yours. And so I think we have to have that conversation to stop thinking so competitively amongst ourselves. But we have such an I culture right now. We're not a we culture. It's like, look at me.
We also a microwave culture, so we want shit overnight instead of letting it roast in the oven for a minute. We see this shit, like I said, you see what's going on over here. Damn, let me hurry up and get my podcast popping. Why Smarts and them got this shit, but they didn't see y'all from the ground up at the other studio. You know, they don't know that. They don't see the conversations at the fucking house. Motherfuckers is really just drunk off the hen dog.
It really stemmed from that.
Period.
I wish I could play this conversation for y'all.
We had a raw conversation that my brother recorded. We was all sitting in a room.
And that's how it started.
And these are men. These are all men, and we all have our own individual lives and things going on, but we have real conversations with each other. Not about just regular shit. We test each other's limits. We test the mentality of where we're at. We test our relationship statuses. We test our pockets. We test our mental health. We test everything we can. We even talked about, because the surgery thing, I forgot we had a little discussion about, like, man, we really can't go out and just, Gail, come on up.
Nah, super.
You raise your hand.
She's like, why you know? Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're going to let her speak first. Go ahead.
You got to come up here.
Yeah, I don't either. I just walked up. My bad. The seat was empty. But okay, I wanted to co-sign really on a lot of the things that you all were saying. To me, it's not just the obstacles you go through. It's how you overcome those obstacles that makes you great, whatever your obstacle is. We all may go through different things. I can't compare my story to anybody else's story in here.
And you shouldn't.
And I don't try to.
Right.
So like, you don't compete where you can't, don't compare, whatever the slogan is on that. But what last year taught us was that time is of the essence. And it's not the time to keep playing around with people, your thoughts, your goals, whatever it is that you want to do. If you thought of it, that's for you. You ain't got to tell nobody nothing. You know what I mean? Like, that's for you. And
Right.
Indeed.
I want to even harp on that because the person sitting to my right is a true testament to that. Anybody watch Snowfall? Y'all watch Snowfall?
I'm gonna start.
Yes.
I'm gonna start.
Okay. Y'all watched the show last night?
No, because I
gonna
gonna skip
you gonna move your
to.
mask?
You gonna take a message? I know you can't. She really can't. 'Cause, you know,
Hey, Wanda.
What's up, Wanda?
Hey, Wanda.
I want that tooth you.
But no, look, I wanted to be honest. I've known Miss Gail Bean for like 16 years, right? Yeah. And to say what's for you and attest to what you believe in, because I remember watching her start as an improv actor. And then I remember her telling me she's about to move to LA. And I was like, I love Atlanta. I'm not going nowhere. I can't start over. Like, my face card is really, really good in this city. I don't see
was too.
I'm not taking away from it. But I'm talking about understanding what's for you. Mm-hmm. And I think seeing Gail go through what she went through and understanding where she was going to where she is now, like, I really watched this journey happen. And so to see that and to understand where it was going, a lot of people, I'm in the space of activism and a lot of people say I inspire them. But I always have to tell people, especially she says it to me, and I'm like, no. We had this conversation this morning. I was like, no, you inspired me to chase my dreams. I watched you chase your shit down. Like, I mean, hours. Like, she was gone for like, how long was you in LA?
7.5 years.
7 years of grinding, of getting it. Mm-hmm. But I want to introduce Miss Gail Bean.
I ain't got no chapstick.
You can put your mask back on.
My girl right there selling chapstick. Like, my lips is too big to be chapped. We can't tell over here. We can't. Yeah, I wanted to just speak on, you mentioned triggers and you mentioned the mentality and the perspective of it being a competition. How do we get to the mental awareness to where people are now, instead of it being competition, if somebody say, hey, Scotty, this person is an activist and doing this and this and this, him not thinking, oh, it's not being offended, but being motivated, being inspired and saying, okay, cool. Or let me figure out a way to link with them, or let me look at them and be inspired instead of looking at them and it being a competition thing or it being a me versus you. How do we get out of that mentality that it can only be one at the top? But sometimes it's about the delivery of that. When somebody is coming at you and they're like, oh, my boy over here do this, that, and the third, instead of, I think you should link with my boy because y'all got so many similar things and y'all really could change the world.
But if the energy isn't, we as people need to learn how to change the energy.
Period.
Because if someone comes at you on some negative energy or some hating, because people will bait you to try to get you riled up, to make you, put you in a space where you feel it's competitive. So how do you shut that down and ignore that energy and redirect it or refocus it? Because a lot of times they don't know how to deal with that. A lot of times that's all they know. So just allowing Black people to get to a space where their mental awareness is like, you see it, like how you said, you only know your triggers when you trigger. I was
Listen,
I was that person.
Yeah.
I'm a Sagittarius to the heart.
I be having to tell her, yeah, you're a little famous now. You can't just be beating people up.
We legit had a conversation.
We had to have a whole lunch about this. People are going to sue you if you beat them up now. They coming for you.
Learning these things and understanding and having the mental awareness to say, oh, okay, this is what that is. Let me take it and make it something. Or I'm not receiving that today. So let me do something else. Let me be this way. And there will be times where it's very difficult, no matter what space you at in life. But just trying to shut it down ahead of time, and then.
I think that's where your mental preparation comes in.
I think you got to be able to see it though. Yeah. I think it takes you to be in a space of security within yourself.
Yeah,
and be able to see
ahead of time.
You are hurt. You got to be able to see that hurt people. Yeah. And so you got to be able to see where they're trying to go with the conversation. You got to see it happening before it happens.
And like you said, your triggers. One thing
I don't know who everybody believes in here, but the universe, God, the ancestors, the tree, the water, the milk, it don't matter. Knowing and understanding a sign, a feeling, intuition is real.
Right.
Whether it come from whomever, it's real. So if something says don't go there, and understanding that what's for you is for you. I think if we knew that, believed that, and understood it, we wouldn't be mad about much stuff. We wouldn't be in competition with people because we would know that what's for you ain't gonna miss you. No matter what the next person do, no matter what you do or don't do, if it's for you, it's not gonna miss you.
That's facts.
I think that takes it home, but the comparison thing is really just being in your own space of strength. Yeah. Being able to understand, like, you can be great, I can be great, we can be great together. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have to try to step on your toes. I don't have to try to get in your space. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like it's a competition between me and my friends. I feel like my friends can really change the world because we all have individual lanes of strength. Even in the same activism space, I understand my weaknesses. I understand another's strengths. And most of the time, unless it's a small platform like this, I'm not as vocal in a pep rally or protest type of environment. That's not I'm more of an observer of the crowd. I need to see if a motherfucker moving wrong before I have to shoot this bitch up. That's my mindset.
Then you have to be willing to observe.
I gotta make sure. I gotta watch your energy. I'm watching.
You have to be willing to observe. And then people will have a difference in opinions from you. So it may be people who are trying to help you and they're like, I think you should take this path, that path, that path. There's people who they're trying to help and they're not aware that it ain't for you.
Yeah, you gotta be cautious with that type of
and that delivery though is everything.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because a lot of people want to help, but they don't know how to help.
Exactly.
And like I use an analogy a lot when I'm mentoring kids, and it's how you deliver something. It's like if I'm looking at something and I think it's wrong, and I want to talk to one of the youth, and I'm like, "Damn, Luna, why the fuck you fucking up? Like you're doing stupid shit. You already making a divisive space.
Right.
They're gonna shut down. They're gonna be defensive off the top. Right. You're not getting anywhere with that person from talking to them like that. But I'm thinking the same exact thing, like you doing some stupid shit. But my question to you is to ask you, hey, is that the best thing you could have thought of? Is that the best way you could have handled that? Did you think that through? And that conversation opens your mind to figuring out what's happening. And then it might not click right then and there. Because I got a brother that he got to run through a brick wall. He got to call me from jail to understand, damn, bro, you kind of seen that happening, huh? And you still made a decision yourself. Now you got to sit in jail and do 2 years.
A lot of this shit got a lot to do with maturity, childishness, being immature.
But let me ask you a question. So if you're now at a place where you can identify your triggers once triggered.
Still growing, still getting
Still growing.
We growing.
Are you able to, if you're already at an elevated place of maturity, when you encounter someone who isn't on your level, are you able to, how do you interact? How do you handle that?
That's definitely a still growing phase. Okay. Me, I'm more of I'm trying to stop saying shut the fuck up and just in my brain, you shut the fuck up. And I'm going to walk over here and talk to so-and-so here who got a little bit more sense. I'm not even going to keep talking to you. Because the more energy I allow you to give me, I'm going to start giving you that old energy. And that shit's just not worth it.
Right.
I feel you. I'm still growing.
That's that part of understanding. I think you got to the key in that is, excuse me, understanding your audience.
Right.
Like every conversation isn't for everybody.
Right.
So the conversation we're having here, if somebody I feel like just want to just pick my brain for the hell of picking my brain and we're not going to come to a solution, I'm not going there with you. Yeah. Like the dude who we were talking about earlier today, he responded and I said, I'm not here to try to change your mind. So have a good day, brother.
And it's okay to have a difference in opinion.
It's absolutely.
It's okay, but you're not even open to change.
That's the part. Yeah.
You have to see. All right. I responded. I responded at first, and his response was, "No, hell no." I was like, you know what? You got it.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my time or energy into that. See, a lot of times you want to try to change a person with their thinking. Mm-hmm. That's a battle you're not going to win, especially once they tell you what they believe. If they lead with "I believe this," you're not changing what someone believes.
Right?
And, like you're not changing that. So therefore, you have to get to a point of agreeing to disagree.
Well, and then understanding each other's beliefs.
Yes. And it's easier said
open
too.
to understanding.
When you have someone that's the significant other, when it's someone that you actually land with, and it's someone you're trying to be with, and then you know like, they don't get it because you can talk to someone, they can feel like you're talking down to them just because you feel like you're talking in a smart tone. They feel like, oh, you trying to talk down to me like I don't know shit.
Yeah.
That it's a defense mechanism and everyone. You don't really know how it triggers in people and how it really reacts to
Some
them.
PTSD up in there.
I don't necessarily think it's just a defense mechanism, but in a sense, I feel like it comes to a level of understanding. You and your partner have to know like how this person understands and how she receives things or how he receives things. Because to even touch on what Gail said, I have a clothing line called Thankful God Put Me On, in a sense, and this is not just like a plug, but it literally stemmed from.
But it can be though.
Yeah. Hello. It stemmed from just being grateful that okay, God blessed me with something. So why would I not take it and put somebody else on? Like it became a business for me. Like if I know something, I'm gonna put sis on so sis can know something. And if I know it's gonna help her with her business or whatever it is she got going on, then we can just build together. And before you know it, the whole community is on. That's really where it stemmed from, because the Black community, we're so far behind and we lack like the necessary resources, but they're there. We just don't access them simply because everybody trying to, compete, or we're trying to compare and we're trying to beat this person. No, if I'm gonna make it to the top, then I'm gonna bring sis with me. Look, sis, I'm up here. Come on, let's go. Like that's just how it's supposed to be. And that's one of the things where I feel like our community is very, very like it's lagging it, and I hate it so much. And that's one of my like biggest pet peeves. Like I'm never gonna compete with my friend. Like Gail is an actress. Like, do you support her, but that don't keep her from saying, okay, sis, some little girls, they out here showing out. Like, let me give them the tools they need to get to where I'm at. Like, it doesn't have to be a competition, but that's what we have to learn as a community, because that's what's keeping us back. Like, we don't know half the shit we supposed to know because we too busy trying to beat each other instead of join each other.
But it starts with us. It starts with one person individually, because, okay, the community may be behind in one area, but it's a lot of stuff we as just Black people as a community didn't do.
Right.
Scotty got hell of us out being real deal activists.
Yes,
like,
definitely.
Like he will, and he's gonna send you the messages about it, inform you every single event, every single time you come. Cool, thank you. If not, I'm still gonna let you know about the next one. Right. He's not giving up. So we as a Black community can't give up on each other. Right. I send auditions out to my to actor females that I know, to guys that I know. When I read scripts, I'll be like, hey, yo, see if your reps can get you in for this. This is a good role. You whoop de whoop. And they don't do it for me, but I'm not it has to be genuine. Yes. I'm not looking for that. Yes. Eventually one day they will hopefully do that to someone else. Yeah, like send out, and it gotta be me. Love. Yeah, but it's just I want to one day inspire that.
Yeah, I got one question. Got one question, and I'm about to be done, talking, because I talk all night. How many of y'all was a victim of the Susu flower scam? Okay.
Well, let me ask you this though. I
was gonna say, let me tap on it real quick.
Go ahead.
What is that? The Susu flower.
Never heard of it. The sunflower where you give $20 or you give $100, get $800 back.
Okay, so what they were saying, right? I mean, some of us got a little money off of it, but at the end, you ain't get nothing at the end. Right. You put your other 200 and 500 and both out. Because you know why it stopped? Because of greed.
Right. Well,
it stopped because of greed. There were people that wasn't putting back into the community. There was people that
I think the community didn't believe in each other.
In, but then the two people she might have invited, they got their 200 out and they didn't put it back in.
Right.
And that's what we have to do. I feel like the process of the basis of what it was, I think that's something we need to apply in the community.
Yes.
Outside of just money.
Right.
Continue to share resources. Continue to, just because you got me one resource today, I'm gonna go get another resource and bring it in.
Shit back and circle around.
You know what I'm saying? Let's all keep putting it in.
For the scam, if you want to call it a scam, I think it was about getting us to work together on one common goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because if that never stopped,
but if it would have been one, we might have. But everybody wanted to break off and do their own situation.
Yeah,
and
if that cycle never stopped, the money would have never stopped.
Right.
And that's what we have to get back to, is believing in each other. Because once it broke out that it was a scam, that shit stopped.
People stopped
instantly.
But this is my thing. If something doesn't work, the first go round, what makes you think that it doesn't work or that it's a scam? Because, like he said, I've been going for 7.5 years. That shit was not working in the fucking beginning.
Y'all listen me here in Atlanta for 7.5 years music. But
Scotty been an activist forever.
Yeah. 7 years.
Been trying to get people to come out forever. And it wasn't working, but he didn't stop showing up.
Right.
So it's like with the susu, if people would have just kept believing in it, okay, you didn't get it this time. But if you keep, it's an investment. It's an investment in the Black community. It's an investment in your friends, your family. Like if you keep watering it, then eventually it will grow. It may not be the season for it to grow.
Exactly.
So you can't be like, oh, this is dead. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you abandon, because white folks, you abandon that crop, you abandon that land, they gonna see the potential when the shit is a burnt down house. They gonna come build it up like downtown Decatur, and it be $900,000.
And that's why I say I don't believe in gentrification, because we got the same opportunity.
Thank you.
We don't see the potential in it. I don't believe in that, and that's like, in activism space or gentrification. Fuck that.
Because negative,
this is
derogatory.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say.
I'm gonna give y'all
because you just said that. Like the thing is, we jump so quick to it being something negative. Like we're sitting here calling it a scam, but it really could have been like, damn, this might be.
If we would have kept it going, the money would
not to downplay.
But if it kept going, it would never stop. But
yeah.
Hey, Court, I love you, but you're gonna have to come closer to these mics because we gotta get this content. Hey, man, you gotta get some of this content. But also, I wanted to say that actually, it's my next quote I'm putting on a shirt, and it has to be like, knowledge is only powerful if you can apply it and share it.
Yeah.
Like if you can't share it and you just gotta hover into your own self, how powerful are we together? What lives are you changing together?
Yeah.
That's been my mindset. Is like you said. I got to the point where I don't give a damn if you show up or not, but I'm gonna keep it. All I can do is put the information out there. And if it sticks for you, come on through. I had to learn not to expect you to come. You see what I'm saying? You gotta lower your expectations sometimes. Like I'm going through a thing now. We just had a conversation and I had to tell her like, yeah, I don't know how to expect niggas not to be real. Because that's just my mentality. I be seeing a lot of flaw shit in business. And I be like, fuck nigga, get from around me. But you might be great for business, but no, you a fuck nigga. And I have to learn that like, y'all work, I'm an entrepreneur, so I don't work with nobody, but most people don't work with people they like.
Yeah.
So I have to get over that. Like, I don't like this motherfucker, but you're not a real nigga. But that's just the floor is yours, my apologies.
In the Western Africa. In the West African community.
Keisha Archer. So she's Guyanese, right? So I was introduced to it years ago.
My cousin, she was that last time.
But yeah, so it's a community of people, right? So they would take, let's just say if it was 5 of us, we all put in 2,000 and it'll be a 10,000 pot. That person goes to 1. So where it cuts off at is like you say, when somebody drops out. So that's how I was originally introduced to it like 5-6 years ago. But like you say, when you first hear something, you're skeptical. You haven't been. It's like stocks. It's like anything right now with investing. Right. People are hearing stuff and they like, oh, they don't do their research. They don't really study. So a lot of stuff is fear-based with us. Right,
put $1,000 in Bitcoin.
Right. But then once it pops,
what if it drops?
Right, once it pops, so it's the same thing.
And then we're like,
well, yeah, it's the same thing.
Did this 5 years ago.
Yeah, but it's the same thing when we talk about your career, right? 7 years. Like we have to understand that a bamboo tree once it's planted, it doesn't sprout for another 10, 15 years. And when it grows exponentially. I'm talking about through the roof, but
they all through Africa.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? So we understand that we use that the 10,000 hour rule. Mm-hmm. Like that is real.
What's that? I'm not aware.
So,
of 10,000 hour.
Malcolm Gladwell, it talks about any time it takes to be a professional, it's 10,000 hours that's put into it, and it's not 10,000 hours if you actually. I'm a former NFL player, so it's not actually 10,000 hours of you going to practice structure. We're talking about 10,000 hours outside of that. Right.
Congratulations. We're gonna let you fly by that. That's an accomplishment within itself.
Y'all don't even know what he do right now. What he do right now, even doper than that.
We was hoping it, but
go ahead.
So just in general, like the amount of work, the amount of delayed gratification. So that's why, like for me, I understand it from an athlete's perspective, right? I go into the gym, I work out, I lift weights, I do what I need to do. The results are not gonna come right now; they're gonna come later. So that's kind of the side where I guess from an athlete, I understand that I invest now, I reap my benefits later. You know what I'm saying?
Microwave generation, like we said.
Yeah.
Microwave society where it's a 24-hour window. I need to see a return on my investment.
Yeah. I get it.
Giving up.
But we have to continue to share knowledge and just not give up. Because it takes time.
How much time we got left?
Do a stock and investment course and class one of you all these days.
I mean, the thing is like, we share information amongst our circles. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, yes.
That's what it is.
That's what we got to do. We got to be able to.
You know what's interesting in that too, though? Because amongst us sharing in it, you still have the skeptics in the group, and it's like until you go in there and put like, oh, I made such and such out of this.
Right.
Oh, I mean, well,
people want proof.
Yeah,
they want proof, right? But even with the proof, it's like you want the proof, and you want me to take your hand and grab you and take you to it. It's like we started this community.
When I left Atlanta, because I'm from here, so I just felt like I had reached a ceiling. Like everybody knew me, but nobody. So when I said I wanted to act, it was like, oh, Gail say she want to act. Like
yeah, they down.
Like you the homie. What are you talking about? You ain't never did shit.
I remember. I remember that conversation when you said,
yeah.
But it's like.
And people, I specifically remember somebody telling me, you ain't made it in Atlanta yet. What make you think you can go to LA and make it? I said, well, I feel like in Atlanta, I've hit my ceiling. I can't even get in rooms of agencies and managers. They not even seeing me. I got people who on TV doing shit who are my mentors who wrote me recommendation letters, and an agency literally are like, you don't have any credits. I'm like, I don't have no credits because I don't have no fucking reps to give me no auditions. 1 + 1 = 2. What y'all not seeing? So I said, you know what? I feel like I've reached a ceiling. I'm going to go to LA because they are willing to take a chance on people. They're willing to fresh faces. I felt like I was tapped out here. And I was working. I was doing theater. Yeah. I was studying my craft. I was fucking dope before I left and went to LA. Definitely. So now that I'm gone, of course, there are more white people are out there who were willing to take chances, opportunities. White people, like I said, they see the potential. My phrase for 2021 is invest in the ugly duckling. Because so many times we want things that are already developed, that are already running. People already wanted credits because you already got a crowd. You already got a following. You've already proved that you can do it or do that. Instead of, they want proof. Instead of like, your word being enough. I want to do this. Okay, so give me the opportunity. Allow me to prove myself. Right. Now I come back and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just got a question for you, so that you hear me? So that we can get back to the mental health side of things. I just want to get on a little mic.
I appreciate you for the content. I love it. Okay. Teamwork make the dream work.
So basically, what I want to ask is, what was your mental health like throughout those 7 years that you was fighting for what you finally got now, and what are you feeling now?
Okay, so
it's a great question.
For a long time, because I traveled like other places and I didn't believe in like mental health being a thing, like at all. I was like, I go other places. I go to Africa every year, and I've traveled. I was studied abroad in Europe. So they don't really, it's a lot of things that they don't have in other countries. And I'm like, I think that it's just fake diagnosis. I also didn't really believe in I feel like America has put a negative stigmatism on a lot of things and label it like a mental disorder. As far as like, when it comes to people,
ADHD is that one for kids
because it's so many levels and layers to it. And I think instead of us embracing it and nurturing it and treating it like it's not something that's abnormal, but it is something that's normal, I just really didn't believe in that for a long time. And then it took friends to be like, well, you go to these other countries and they may not have that, but also there's things that America has that we ingest, that we digest, that we see that may not happen in other countries. Therefore, it may cause these type of traumas, which causes certain mental things to develop.
To go back to the Meghan Markle interview, right? When they aired that interview overseas, they were traumatized by how many times they saw prescription ads in commercials. Because America has made medicine a business. Over there, you're not allowed to run ads for medications to tell you need a doctor. Keep putting that implant in your head. So if you look at the tweets from that night, it was a lot of them like, why the hell they keep on saying you need to go see this and this and that? So you have to understand that as well. But I think to harp on what she was saying, as a friend that watched the entire journey, it was believing in herself from the beginning that allowed it to happen. Because even myself, as knowing, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I know I had a lot of friends that
I ain't gonna say no, but
that
if you went,
they didn't want to say that they didn't believe this shit was possible, but they was like, we don't know nobody who doing that like that.
Okay.
So when I left, I definitely believed in myself. I never thought I wasn't gonna make it. Like that wasn't a mentality. Right. What got me, I went out there not knowing no fucking body. And I'm somebody who know everybody. So to be in LA, I remember I called my brother one night crying like, yo, I'm coming back home because my best friend came out there.